If Sirui continues to make autofocusing full-frame lenses like this at this price point, they're going to be onto something very, very special. This is the 85 1.4 for the Nikon Z mount. Let's talk about this lens right now. This is the Aurora, their first and their autofocusing full-frame lens lineup. I believe they're going to be making more lenses for the Nikon Z mount, the E mount, and the Fujifilm X mount, which is odd because that's not full frame. Don't know why they did it. Why not L mount? I asked them that question. They didn't give me an answer, but I'm hoping they do come with L mount very, very soon. With that said, this video is brought to you by Sirui. They are sponsoring this, but they have no say in the content that I'm giving you. They're just there for technical support. So these are my thoughts and my thoughts only. Now, when I tried the Sniper series, the 75mm and the 16mm about a month or so ago, I did a video on that. I really liked how those lenses performed, especially for the price point, right? Low light, very quick autofocusing, beautiful bokeh, sharp, wide open, not bitingly sharp, but sharp enough. I was happy with those lenses. And I said in that video, if they came out with a full frame version of this lens, they would be onto something. And that's exactly what they did. And it's funny they came out with an 85 1.4 first. You would think 28, 35, 50 maybe, right? 85, interesting direction. But for the Nikon Z mount, it makes a lot of sense right now. Because if you look at the full frame lineup from Nikon right now for the Z mount, you got the 85 1.8, awesome lens. Then you got the 85 1.2, phenomenal lens, but it's a big lens. But you don't have an 85 1.4 yet. Now they may come out with one soon because you have the 35 1.4 and the 50 1.4 respectively, but not an 85 1.4. And this lens for around $500 US, and the price fluctuates depending on the promotion that Siri's got, is going to be a nice lens to have in the kit. If you don't want to spend a lot of money, but if you want a faster aperture 85 for portraiture, you're going to like what this lens has to offer for you. And it's got some bells and whistles that you're not even finding on the 85 1.8. Case in point, you've got a declicked aperture ring or a clicked aperture ring, however you want to set it. You've got an autofocus manual focus switch. You have an AFL button. You've got all these things inside. Plus, you got a USB-C port on the bottom of it here on the mount. So if you want to update the firmware, you can do that as well. So Siri's really kind of put a nice lens together, and the build quality on this is actually really nice. It's very solid. I believe it's magnesium alloy or something. It does not feel cheap. It feels way above its price point, in my personal opinion. Case in point, here is the 85 1.4 from Sony, the GM version 1, not 2. That's much smaller. It's about this size. This is the first version. And they feel roughly the same in terms of build quality. Obviously, this is bigger. It's heavier, but in terms of the overall build quality, this is up there. It feels really, really good. And in terms of the filter diameter on this 67mm, just in case you're wondering on that, it does come with a hood as well. And the hood is plastic, decent hood. I mean, enough coverage right there for glares and flares, what have you. But again, you may want to show some of those, especially if you're going to be shooting some video if you want some more character to your images. But anyway, we'll talk about all that in just a second. Internally on this, you have 15 rounded aperture blades, you have spherical elements, ED elements, you've got a lot of various different good glass inside of this. I believe what Sirui is doing is taking from their cinema lens lineup, which they've been doing for years, and they've done a great job with those lenses, especially again for the price point, and bringing those optics into an autofocusing system here for full frame, which I applaud them for. Because again, when we talk about image quality, you're going to see some sample images in just a bit. You're going to be like, hey, actually, for the price, it's not too bad. Not too bad at all. But again, you got the 15 rounded aperture blades. So you're going to get a nice, creamy, smooth bokeh. Again, some imperfections. We'll talk about that. But overall, it blows out the background. It's going to isolate your subject, which is the most important for a portraiture lens. All right. With that said, let's get into image quality. All right. So if you've never shot with a Sirui lens before, they're not the sharpest lenses out there wide open. And the reason is they're taking from their cinema lineup. And if you ever used a cinema lens for video, they're not the sharpest lenses out there. They're sharp enough, but they have a nice fall off. They have a nice graduation. They have character to the image. And that's what they're bringing here with this 85 1.4. So as you see some of the sample images that I'm posting here, at 1.4 wide open when I'm taking photos of people, it's sharp wide open. Don't mind you, it's sharp, but it's not going to be like a 1.2 or a 1.8 from Nikon where it's bitingly sharp. It's not quite there yet, but it's got a nice fall off. It's got sort of a little bit of a vintage feel, in my personal opinion, which I like. Now, in terms of the bokeh in the background, you're going to see a little bit of onion rings around some of the more contrastier areas. Again, for the price point, the budget, it doesn't really bother me that much, but if you use older lenses, you're going to get that vibe anyway. And to be frank with you, not many people outside of this community who actually really pixel peeps really notices these things. They're looking more at your composition, the person that you're taking a photo of or the subject you're taking a photo of, the colors, the shadows, the lights, how you've composed this image versus I see some onion rings around those bokeh balls there. I can't use that lens. No, it's not like that. So you're going to be fine with this. No issues at all with that. Also, in terms of close focusing on this, it's 0.85 meters. So I wish it was a little bit closer. Again, 0.6, 0.7 respectively. But again, it's a portraiture lens. So you want some distance away from your subject, but it is 0.85 meters. And I would say image quality wise, it does remind me of the 51.4 and the 35.1.4 from Nikon respectively in the Z mount. So if you're worried about that, do not be, this will fit very, very well inside there. When you stop down, of course, it does get a little bit sharper. Chromatic aberration has been minimized here. Again, there's lens profiles now in Lightroom that you can use for this. It's going to correct all that anyway. So not much of an issue there. And yeah, you're going to be fine with that. The one thing I found on this lens that I did reach out to Sirui on, and they haven't gotten back to me with a definitive answer yet, is that the autofocusing is a little bit slow at the first time it acquires focus. After that, it's fine. Subject detection, eye detection, all that's there. It works great. It's just that initial grab is a little bit slower than a Nikon Z mount native lens, respectively. But I did tell them that. They are aware of it. I know there's a firmware update for the Sony E mount lens. There's nothing for the Z mount yet, but I'm guessing that will come very, very soon. And that's a software fix. I'm not worried about that whatsoever. But again, for a portraiture lens, you're not always looking for the fastest focusing speed anyway. You're looking for, nice separation, more image quality. I would say if you want to compare it apples to apples, it's probably the same speed of acquiring focus initially as this 85-1.4 GM lens. That's the best way I can put it. After that though, it locks on, no issues at all with that. All right. Outside of that though, the few weeks I had it with me in Ipoh, Malaysia, as I was walking around taking images around the streets and just trying it out, I was pleasantly surprised by the lens. I like it. And it's something that I'm going to keep with me. You know what I mean? Because I don't have an 85mm for my Z mount system. I have 50s, 35, respectively. But if I want to take some portraiture, I don't want to use a macro because it's too sharp. This is going to be a nice in between. That's going to be a really good lens to bring around with you. And again, it's $500 USD. So it doesn't break the bank and it's going to give you really nice images. Anyway, those are my thoughts on the lens. Simple as that. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Are you interested in this lens? Any questions you have on this lens, let me know. I'll try to answer those for you. With that, if you like this video, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. More content on the way. Thanks again for the support, and I'll chat to you all very, very soon. Oh, by the way, lens cap. On the Sony E mount, I believe it's rounded. Here on the Z mount, it's flat, just in case you're wondering. I saw that in another video and I thought, oh, they changed it. So it is what it is. All right, guys, chat to you soon.